Hello. Yeah, my name is Harald Eilertsen, and I'm going to talk to you a bit about a software project called Hubzilla, as you said, and how it has been pioneering a safer and more resilient fediverse, at least the way I see it. I'm sporadically, at least, Hubzilla core contributor, depending on how much time. And I run my own software consulting business as Eilertsen technically dealing in software development and information security. Well, I hope most of you here know about the fediverse. I'm going to tell you about it anyway. The fediverse, or sometimes called the social web, is a federated decentralized social network consisting of separate web servers spread out across the entire web. In it we have actors, that means people like me and you, and bots and companies and other entities that can share social interactions between themselves regardless of which server or platform they are using or logged into. Social interactions in this context means anything from posts to comments to likes to images, videos, whatever you want, anything, follow requests, all that kind of stuff. And some of the most popular platforms on the fediverse today is Mastodon, Pixelfed, Lemmy, Airtube, but there's a wealth of other instances or other software types that are also available. So today I'm going to talk to you about Hubzilla, one of the least popular fediverse servers, but I think it still has some important features that I hope can be an inspiration for other projects in the fediverse. Hubzilla is, at the core, is an extensible fediverse server with a focus on privacy, resiliency, and safety. And this talk will mainly focus on the last part, the privacy, resiliency, and safety features. But first, I want you to meet Nicole. I don't know if anyone have met her already. This is a spam campaign that has been playing the fediverse for at least a few weeks now, where this person calling themselves Nicole pops up in your mentions or private messages or whatever for some reason. I don't know if anyone really knows what she wants or what the people behind this want yet. But anyway, spam is a problem on any network of any size or popularity, so this is not uncommon or unheard of or even unexpected. And while the Nicole, get this out of the way, sorry. And while the Nicole spam is pretty annoying, it points to a much bigger problem that is perceived in the fediverse as it is now. And that is the lack of common controls. For people like me, middle-aged white men with graying beards, this may not be all that important or may not seem all that important, but typically for more marginalized groups and people more prone to harassment, this is a real problem, and I think hardly a day go by without me hearing about someone who feels this is a big problem in the fediverse. Hubzilla has, of course, had privacy controls and common controls since the very beginning. And here you can see one of the ways we do this. This is the privacy settings of one channel, what we call an identity in Hubzilla lingo, where you can set up things like, do we want people to be able to mention us without any previous interaction or without having a contact with us? Or do we want to accept unsolicited comments and keep them from moderation, or just leave them going through directly? And these are some basic controls that help a little bit. But the real core of the Hubzilla is the permission system. Here you can see, you can set up a channel that is what we call an identity in Hubzilla. To have a base set of permissions. These are the permissions you give to everyone all your contacts, but also people that haven't connected with you yet. And these are base permissions that allows or determines what kind of interactions you will accept from other people. And as you can see, you can have, these are some of the predefined channel roles, as we call them. You can be a completely public profile with essentially no controls on what comes in or out. A more personal channel, which is a bit more restricted on what you accept. A community forum is a slightly different type of channel, but and you can set a completely custom profile to lock it down as much as you want. All according to what your needs are, of course. So here we can see some of the permissions. We can assign permissions to individual contacts, or we can group them into contact roles, that we assign a specific role to different contacts here. So in this case, we have Eilertsen, which wants to connect with us, and we can what is their permission on our side, and what is our permissions towards them. And as you see here in the image, they are given the default role for now with us. This provides a very solid system that lets you decide how others should be allowed to interact with your channel. And if you see some of the permissions there, this is really fine-grained. It's like, can they view my channel pages, which means can they view the stuff that I post on my in my identity on the system? Can they send me their posts? Can they like my posts? Can they comment on my posts? Whatever. You can really control how much they can access it. And you can adjust the permissions to pretty much be completely invisible to people that, to anyone except the ones you are already connected to, or to be a fully public profile that's open to everyone. Another thing we do to help people separate their personal identities from maybe more public personas they have is that you can have separate identities or separate channels. You still use one account to log into the server and manage these, and you can switch between them, but otherwise they are entirely separate, and from anyone following one of your channels, they are just seems completely separate. And typically you would do this for different purposes, different audiences, whatever. If you can have a personal profile or personal channel that you share with friends and family and a few people that you know, and you may have a separate channel for your band or your company or whatever. But these are not, if you want to keep them separate. Of course, this is all up to how you want to do it. As I said, they're completely separate, but accessed through the same account to the server. Further, you can split each channel into multiple profiles again. Profile, in this case, is the kind of information you make available to your contacts about you. And this allows you to give different information to different contacts. So you will always have a default profile that's visible to anyone, even unauthenticated visitors to your channel or to your profile page. That is, if you have made your channel visible and accessible to begin with. That's possible to lock down, of course. You may want to be careful about what information you put on here, because this is, as I said, open to anyone on the entire internet. And there's lots of weird people there, I know, I've heard. So what typically you can do is you can create a different profile that you allow your closer friends or people that you actually know to access with a bit more information. And you can even set up company profile with different information for your business contacts if you want that, if you want to mix that into the same channel. You can also address, when you share a post or something, you can address whoever is in the profile. So you can address a post to people that have access to your business profile, for instance. And then it will only be accessible to those. You can assign which people can see which profile, as we see here again with our friend Bolivus, who wants to join us. Since he is a friend, we give him access to our friend's profile. One of the really more interesting features of Hubzilla is what we call Open Web Auth. It's a simple cross-site protocol for authentication. It previously used to be called Magic Sign-On. It allows people from one site to authenticate on another site without having any previous contact before. And this is important to be able to enforce the access controls that Hubzilla provides. For example, if I want to share a photo, I was out with a couple of friends, we took some photos, I want to share it with these friends, but I don't want to make it available to everyone. So I can share it with these friends and give them access, but nobody else will have access. Even if the link leaks or one of the friends shared the link with someone else, they will not get access to the resource, whatever the resource is. It's an image or post or whatever. And this requires that the server is able to authenticate who you are, and that's Open Web Auth going behind the scenes here. One of the other interesting things about Open Web Auth is that it actually allows you to visit somebody else's instance, and you are already logged into their instance, and you can do whatever the same to their posts or whatever. You have the same access on their server as you would have to the resources that you also get on your server. So in this case, we can see here in number 1, I click on the profile of Mario. He's the lead developer of Hubzilla. And I'm taken to his server, number 2 here, and you will see that his server knows who I am and will greet me and say, yeah, welcome, I know who you are. And then I can add a comment to one of his posts. This is all happening on his server, not on mine. And submit it, as if I just interacted with his post on my own server. And while the comment thing may not be all that revolutionary, but one of the nice features of this is that if you see someone you don't know, you click on their profile, you get to their server, and most of the fediverse software you will have it say, oh, okay, this was an interesting person, I want to follow them. You're going to have to copy their handle and go back to your server, try to connect to them to their, in Hubzilla we just click follow, because we have this. And Open Web Auth is a separate protocol, very simple protocol by itself. And I know there are implementations of it both for PixelFed and Mastodon, but both projects are not very keen on accepting them. For some reason, I don't think they see the value in it, but that's up to them. For at least we think it's a really good protocol. Simple and crude, but it works. One of the real big issues with Hubzilla, I think, are one of the major features that I think I really hope that the rest of the fediverse can start getting into is the nomadic identities. Here we see an example where a channel has cloned itself to several other servers. What nomadic identities allows is that you can clone your identity to a different server. But this doesn't change your identity. It's saying still you. You can now log into this other server and just carry on as before. And let me see, yeah, this provides a number of interesting properties. It gives you resiliency. Your data is backed up and available, even if your main server is going down, either temporary or permanently. It features censorship resistance. No single admins can silence you, because if you get banned from one server, you can just log into the other one and carry on. It's not all the people we want to be able to do that, but that's how it works. You can always block incoming anyway. And the transparency part is that you can, these are identical. It's not like you have one identity on this server and one identity on this server. These server identities are the same, and they will be seen as the same by everyone in your contacts. That supports nomadic identities, of course. Further, the old content is synced between the different channels. This means, or different clones, this means that it's not only your follower list or your contact list, it means everything from posts to comments to likes to file storage to images to anything, your calendar entries, your wiki entries, all kinds of stuff. And as Hubzilla is extensible, it's possible to plug into this. If you make an extension, you can plug into it, and so that you ensure that your data from your plugin is also synced between the different clones. And the clones are synced in near real time, which means that even for short disruptions, you can just log into one of the clones instead and just carry on as before, because it's most likely up to date with what you already have. So that's pretty much what I wanted to mention, since we have don't have that much time, but hopefully it looks like it can be something that you will find interesting. And also at the end, a very special thank you to Mike McIrvin, who actually made all this stuff already. Most of it is from 2010, 2012-ish time. So this has been with the fediverse way longer than most of the newer projects. And all these features have been around. A few links there. The Hubzilla project website, a separate site about the Open Web Automatic Sign-On protocol, and of course the online help for the Hubzilla. The help is of course integrated into each instance has a copy of it, but we're just rewriting all of it now because it's almost outdated and not very good. So a lot of work has been put into that, and this link will give you to that recent version. So yeah, that's it from me. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
Hi, thanks for the talk. You mentioned that one account can have multiple identities. Can multiple accounts access single identity? For example, I have an identity for my band, and I want my bandmates to be able to use that identity as well.
You can't give them direct access to your identity, but we have here, let's see. Yeah, the last point there, can administer my channel. So you can, they will have their separate channels, but they will be able to post and do things on behalf of the channel if you let them.
But does that mean they can access all my identities? Or just
No, just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one. These are separate. Identities and channels are entirely separate. It's just by, you have a login to the server, which is between you and the server, and then the channels and identities are what you administer. I think it's possible to move a channel from one owner to another whenever, if you have ever a need for that. But you can't have multiple accounts directly owning a channel. Yeah.
Thank you for a great presentation. You mentioned that authentication system, which I think is a real benefit over going back to your home instance that I'm used to on Mastodon. My question would be, how do you do that without making users easily trackable? If I'm automatically logged in on another site, what's the technical background here? How can I avoid being tracked by sites that I don't want to be tracked by, that just know my identity in that point?
Yeah, that's a really good question. By default, the way it technically works is that the URL you're following will have information about who you are. That is your handle and your server, where you're from. And so that means that it will track you. What you can do, there's an extension in Hubzilla, of course, that you can install in your channel, and where you can specify that I only want these sites to be allowed to log me in via this protocol. So you can get control of it. By default, it will, when it tries to detect if the other site is open web compliant, and if it is, then it will try to authenticate you, but you can block it.
Great, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions. So thanks so much, Harald.
Clear as mud. Good.